Hey guys, what is up and welcome to another video. If you didn't watch last week's video, we blew up the turbo in the 33.4 and it sucks because it means we're not going to get any more seat time right now. So we need to fix that as soon as possible. But before we go and bolt on a new turbo, I want to dissect the old one and figure out what failed, what went wrong, and show that to you guys. I have a sneaky suspicion we are going to find the rear compressor wheel somewhere in my exhaust, like stuck at the cat converter. Yeah, we'll figure that out when we pull it all apart. Anyways, yeah, so good news, we do have a new turbo coming. I am working with a turbo company now. I'll announce that and show that all to you in the next video when the turbo arrives. So I'm just really excited about that, as well as we're going to get you guys some coupon codes to get some discounts on their turbo range. So that's going to be awesome as well. Anyways, enough talk, let's get into dissecting. Alrighty, so I got the front of the car up on these ramps, which has got it up high enough now so I can slide under there if I need to be able to undo anything from the underside. But otherwise the turbo is under all of this, so I need to pull all of that off to be able to get to it. So J-pipe's coming off, crossover pipe's coming off, the charge pipe's coming off, intake pipe and airflow meter and all that will come off. Yeah, pretty much all of that's got to go. And then we'll set you guys up on a time lapse while I pull all of that off, because that's kind of boring. And once it comes time for me to actually pull the turbo off, we'll switch back to normal video so that you guys don't miss any parts falling out or anything like that. So let's get started. Okay, so I've actually run out of time, so I'm going to finish this off in the afternoon later on today. But I did want you guys to listen to what happens when I spin the turbo shaft. One sec. Listen to that. Absolutely stuffed. Should not be grinding like that. So pretty safe to say that it's definitely stuffed. But yeah, can't wait to work on this later in the afternoon because the sun is killing me. Anyway, so I'll quickly pack all my tools up and stuff and we'll get onto it later on. Alrighty, so I've just gotten back home and we've got probably about an hour of daylight left before the sun goes completely down. So let's see what we can get done in that time and see if we can get the remainder of this turbo all off. Okay, so we've gotten the turbo off and man, was it a pain in the butt. The hardest thing about getting this thing off is the hard lines, the oil and water hard lines. They're just in awkward places and a real pain to get at. And then of course, you know, the fear of breaking studs and things like that. Luckily, the only stud that broke was one on the rear housing here, which I don't care about because I don't need this turbo anymore. But having a general look over the turbo to see like where it failed, I can see that on the propeller, like impeller wheel here, there are a few little chips in the acrylic blade, in the blades. Like if you have a look in there, you can probably see that little chip there. And when you spin it, as I showed you guys before, it's grinding. You can hear the bearings just aren't happy in there at all. Now, they don't use ball bearings in these, they use journal bearings. So it's kind of like a bearing that floats in the oil. So even though it's out of the car,
and there's no like oil in there for it to float in, it still shouldn't be grinding like that. So there's definitely something up there. Now, I did mention in my video that I thought it would have been the rear compressor housing, the rear compressor wheel probably breaking off. And you guys can tell me if it looks like there's a compressor wheel there. It's gone, completely gone. Let's see if we can balance that there so I don't have to, will it stay there? Will it stay there? Yep. So what's interesting about this is normally you see the shaft still here or it's just all loose, but it's completely come out and it's snapped at the journal bearing right there. So that's why I had oil coming out when I was getting over 2,500 RPMs, because the oil pressure was building up to a point where it could seep out of from the bearings and go into the exhaust. So this thing is definitely cooked, and it means that probably tomorrow I'm gonna have to go rear compressor wheel hunting in the downpipe. So I'll take my downpipe off before the cat, and we'll probably find that the compressor wheel is sitting in there somewhere. So that'll be kind of cool. We'll find that tomorrow in tomorrow's video. But yeah, I'm really amazed at where the breaking point was for this. If the lighting's okay and you can see it, it literally snapped right on where the journal bearing is. And normally you see a little bit of shaft left in there. So kind of interesting, I guess.
Okay, so what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to completely disassemble this turbo, take the front and the rear housing off, we'll take the impeller wheel out, see if we can slide the core out, and just get a good look at where it snapped and what happened to it. So what I'll do is I'll throw in the time lapse and I'll completely disassemble this on my dining room table, of all places. Okay, so I've made a mess of everything, but I've actually made a pretty interesting discovery that makes me think that this thing didn't overboost. Now, I had to really bash this with a hammer to try and get this to pop out of the rear housing because it was all seized in there. So don't do what you saw me do with the hammer and bashing it and trying to stick a screwdriver in here to try and get this impeller wheel off and stuff. Don't do that if you're pulling apart a good turbo. You shouldn't have to do that. Mine's just all seized up and stuffed, and obviously it's broken, so I don't really care about it. That's why I was being really rough on it. Now, I really want to show you this because this is what leads me to believe that it was an actually overboosting issue. So here you can see on the turbine housing is a big chunk missing of the turbine wheel. Now, what's happened is this is snapped off and it's gone through, and it's probably going to be stuck before my intercooler, so I'll have to fish that out. But what else is interesting is that when this broke, it meant that this was completely off balanced. Right now, this does have some play in it, right? Now, what would have happened was when this was rotating off balance, the rear of the turbo would have been hitting the sides of the exhaust housing, and you can see that clear as day in here. You can see all these chunks here cut out and all these pieces cut out, and like it's messed up in there, man. Like, I'm surprised how long this turbo lasted while it was doing that. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, chunks missing out of cast steel is pretty crazy. So anyways, because the front was missing like a good quarter of its impeller wheel, it was off balance, causing the rear to hit up against the sidewall here and eventually snapping completely off the shaft here out of the journal bearing. So we're going to fish the rest of this out of the exhaust later on in this week when we start mounting things up with the new turbo. But this wasn't an overboosting issue. This was my impeller wheel breaking, probably something getting in the intake, which blows my mind because I have a pod filter and everything. So I don't know, we'll fish through everything in the front of the intercooler, see if there's anything there. But this just goes to show that,
glad I've got a pod filter, and I'm glad I have an intercooler that's going to catch all that. So I'll dig through and I'll pull all those pieces out that are there, and obviously the pieces in the exhaust, but like I can't get over the chunks and stuff that were cut into this metal housing. Like, look at that. Look at the slice and chunk marks there. This is cast iron. That's insane. So I'm pretty sure that this turbo was the later one with the steel wheel, because it's got the acrylic front compressor turbine. So this is definitely the newer version of the turbo that had the rear steel wheel. But like, damn. No wonder I felt like my car was a little bit slow and laggy. Like, I had no idea my turbo was stuffed like this. Like, I can't get over those gashes in there. Okay, so I'm glad I ended up disassembling this because I wasn't intending to. So yeah, it's interesting to see that it wasn't an overboosting issue. Something's gotten in my intake, or this just broke and smashed everything. Like, man. All right, enough rambling. Let's clean this mess up.
All right, so that was fun getting that turbo off the R33.4. Obviously being sarcastic there with the word fun, but you know, it's good to have it off. Good to actually confirm that yes, that was the problem, that rear compressor wheel just falling off. And hopefully you guys, like, looking at this video, know what you're in for if that ever happens to you, or if you want to swap your turbo on your RB25 powered Skyline or whatever you've got it swapped into. But otherwise, it's just made me more hyped up for the new turbo that's coming. I was looking at the tracking for it today. It looks like I may actually get it tomorrow. It's already gone, like, arrived in Tokyo Customs and been cleared. So fingers crossed it arrives tomorrow, which means it'll arrive while I'm filming tomorrow's video, which is going to be awesome. But otherwise, super pumped, super happy. As well, guys, I just want to say a big thank you to you guys. You know, obviously we've gained a lot of subscribers recently, and I'm really excited about the future. My goal for this year is still to hit 100K. And I know with your support and you guys helping and like sharing the videos with your friends and getting them involved as well, that it'll obviously help the channel grow more and get to that goal as well. One other thing is I do want to say thank you to you guys as well, because it's because of you guys that I've been able to get this turbo hookup. And yeah, I'm just really excited about being able to give back to you guys and get those coupon codes sorted for you guys to be able to purchase turbos as well. And anyways, I'm going to reveal the turbo and all that kind of stuff and the brand and everything once it arrives, and once I can film a video dedicated to it and like a box opening kind of thing. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative and educational and entertaining and all of that. And I'm rambling on because I'm in a hurry and I don't know what to say next, because I don't want the wife to be angry at me when I'm late to dinner. So anyways, guys, with that, thanks heaps for watching. Make sure you hit up all my social media down in the description, and I'll catch you on the next video. Ja mata ne.